I'm currently in Frankfurt am Main, and I've only got 2 hours left before I have to get to the airport and catch my flight back to the UK. Usually I'd hop in a taxi and get straight over to the airport, but today I've set myself the challenge of seeing 4 historical sites in Frankfurt related to the Holocaust. Can we learn more about the history of the pogroms in Frankfurt and the persecution of Jewish people, and get to Frankfurt am Main airport in time so that I don't miss my flight? Well, there's only one way to find out. Join me. So I'm walking next to our first historical site of interest, and this is actually going to help quite a lot in this video because it's actually already where I was at this trade show. The main part of Messe Frankfurt has a large building that I'm walking to just next to us over there. We're walking next to it now, and we're going to go inside this building in a minute. It's the Festhalle, built in 1909. It was extensively damaged during World War II, but it does have slightly darker history as well. So we're going to go down and have a look in there now. Soon after its construction, the Festhalle was used in 1917 as a medical facility for soldiers injured on the Western Front in World War I. On March 16, 1936, Adolf Hitler used the Festhalle as a venue for a speech about the introduction of the swastika as the national flag of Germany. On the 9th and 10th of November 1938, simultaneously in hundreds of towns and villages in Germany and Austria, thousands of Jews were terrorized, persecuted and victimized. The November pogrom, alternatively known as Kristallnacht because of the smashed glass of Jewish shops and businesses, also led to the desecration of over 1,200 synagogues and the looting of thousands of Jewish businesses and homes. Following the assassination of a junior diplomat in Paris by a young Polish Jew, the Nazi Party seized the opportunity to incite mass anti-Jewish violence, claiming it was a spontaneous popular retaliation against the enemy within. It was, in fact, a closely coordinated and orchestrated political act from the Nazi Party's brown shirts and SD. As a result, approximately 90 people were killed and over 25,000 Jewish men were arrested and deported to Dachau, Buchenwald and Sachsenhausen. Hundreds of Frankfurt's Jewish citizens were driven across the city centre to the Festhalle, and some were seriously mistreated. From here, the first mass transports went into the Nazi concentration camps. The Festhalle is thus of considerable relevance for the Holocaust. Look at it, what an amazing piece of architecture from 1909. It's just amazing, this place. Used today as an exhibition centre, as you can see. It's one of the main halls here at this trade show, but also they have huge bands here. There's massive big events that go on here. It's really weird going around with my bloody bag everywhere, but look at this. You can just see the size of this place from here. What an incredible building. All the Jewish people in Frankfurt were rounded up and forced to come into here, into this very room where we're sat right now, deprived of food and water. They got an opera singer to come in here and sing, I think it was In These Holy Halls, a song. I mean, that's one thing I always find about this particular history, is how there was some sadism. The fact they made an opera singer sing that song reminds me of the thing that I saw when I went to Dachau, when they discovered underneath some paint a sign that said no smoking, and that was in a part of the concentration camp when people were already naked and they didn't have anything, and it was just this insidious joke where they could joke about the fact that you can't smoke. We know you can't, but we have control. This was the place where all the Jewish people of Frankfurt were herded up, and from here deported to concentration camps where almost all of them would have died. The Festhalle was extensively bombed in the war and almost destroyed. It's strange now walking around here. You can imagine the scenes in 1938 in a place like this. People being rounded up, separated probably from their families, sat in there, no food, no water, being treated like animals. Yeah, absolutely dreadful. So look, there's the festival hall, site number 1. Let's go to site number 2. Instrumental to my challenge to find 3 more historical sites around Frankfurt would be transport. The city does have a great underground, but it wasn't going to get me close enough to some of the sites that I'd found. I'd used a website called Traces of War to pick out a few interesting sites in Frankfurt am Main. Now all I needed to find was a taxi driver who'd be willing to drive me around these sites and wait around while you, the viewer, and me, the filmmaker, learn about those particular places. This could be a make or break for my challenge. Right, we're not going to the airport though. Like, not the airport. Like everyone else is going to the airport, aren't they? Okay. We're going to find 4 historical sites before I get my flight home. Okay?
Yeah.
Bit interesting. Can we do it together?
We can do it together.
Okay, cool.
No problem. I can stay with you the whole day, no problem.
Yeah.
Till 9 o'clock, because then it's Champions League Frankfurt against Napoli.
Brilliant, that's great. Can we go to the Jewish Memorial?
Yeah.
So we're
Jewish Memorial?
Yeah. What's your name, by the way?
Yassin.
Yassin.
Yes,
My name's Jim, or James. Jimmy.
James, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you, man. Cheers for doing this as well. Just don't charge me loads of money. Yassim seemed like the perfect guy to show me around Frankfurt and point out a few of the other sites that I didn't know. He also appeared to have a great sense of humour. They're all as bad as each other. That's how we see it in England.
This is exactly what I want to say, but but I don't know the meaning of it.
Well, you've got very good English.
No, my English is very worse, but I try to. And
no, your English is really good.
I hope you can help me if I say something wrong. You can teach me a little bit.
Yeah. It took about half an hour going through the traffic to get to our next destination, and on the way Yassin was kind enough to point out the new Jewish memorial in the centre of the city. But a few minutes later we were there at the old Jewish market. The back door, yeah. So what do you know about this memorial then? Because you seem to have quite a good knowledge of the history of Frankfurt.
No, I don't have the...
well, you know the city well.
I know the city, yes, because it's my hometown. It will be very sad if I don't know my city.
Yeah, you can take that one.
Hello.
So we're coming up to, this is the Jewish memorial. From what has been told, that they've actually moved it from the old, this is kind of the old museum behind us here, but that's now moved to a new position, new place. So these are, wow, look at it, there's all these trees. Wow. So you can walk on here?
Yes, of course.
Oh, and these are the stones you were talking about. Oh man, it looks amazing, doesn't it? In 1985, the City Council announced a development competition for the Bornplatz. The Jewish community suggested that a memorial be erected to commemorate the deportations of Frankfurt Jews between 1941 and 1945. During the excavation for the visitor centre, the construction workers came across house foundation stones that were from the old Jewish ghetto during the war. These now form the stone cube in the middle of the memorial. There are also 5 street signs that show the chronological change of place names in the immediate vicinity, brought on by pogroms of the past, National Socialism, and the modern reunified Germany that we know today. Margaret Strauss was born in Frankfurt. On April 21st, 1943, she was transferred to the transit camp Westerbock and interned and sent to the transit and concentration camp Theresienstadt. She was deported on October the 23rd, 1944, with transport ET-40 to Auschwitz, where she was murdered on October the 24th, 1944. Ilse Haas helped her family run the cattle trade and lived on Rheinstrasse 59, today Hauptstrasse, in Frankfurt. Following the pogroms on January 12, 1939, she was taken to friendly relatives in exile in the Netherlands. She was arrested by the Gestapo and sent to a transit camp on March the 6th. From there, on March the 10th, in 1943, she was deported to the extermination camp of Sobibor and was murdered there immediately on her arrival on March the 13th, 1943. She was 8 years old. I looked for Ilse Haas's small memorial and her small stone on top, but there are 11,915 names on this wall, and I just couldn't find it. And we were running out of time that she never had. But somewhere amongst all these small pebbles and stones, with her mother, father, and 2 brothers. Her memorial is here. How incredible. No one's moved them at all. Denkmal für Buch und Brennen. Okay, so that's...
no? It's in the city centre.
By this time, Yassin was fully invested in what we were doing and was even getting involved in where we should go next by looking at the website that I'd used to find these historical sites. He knew I had under an hour to get to the airport and we still had 2 sites to visit. Therefore, he suggested a site in the centre of the city. Was it a famous person?
Yes, and discretion in German.
Discretion.
Yes,
it's the same.
It's the important thing.
Yeah, nice find. Is he famous in England, or is it he or she?
Are you a journalist?
No, well, I do.
How you ask?
We'll find out somehow. See, we're slowly getting there, aren't we? We're finding out.
What happens in this taxi stays in this taxi. No, so.
So do you live in a flat, like one of these sort of types, a type flat?
Apartments, yes, like this, yes. But it's okay.
See, I live in the country, so I don't know if I could live somewhere in a city and not have a garden.
I have also a garden, but a separate garden.
What do you grow? Do you grow like vegetables, or do you have?
Yes, I have we have rules there. You have to make vegetables. You have to make a little bit green, where the children play. You have the rules. You have to follow the rules.
I see. Okay.
So, but a nice place. Nice place.
Does it get a lot of sunshine?
Yep.
Oh, good. Yeah, you can sit there. We were now in the heart of the historical city centre, looking for a small brass plaque that we thought was in the main central square opposite the Rathaus. On May the 10th, 1933, student groups at universities across Germany carried out a series of book burnings of works that the students and leading Nazi Party members associated with un-German spirit. Enthusiastic crowds witnessed the burning of books by Brecht, Einstein and Freud, among many other well-known intellectuals, scientists and cultural figures, many of whom were Jewish. The largest of these book bonfires occurred in Berlin, where an estimated 40,000 people gathered to hear a speech by the propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels, in which he pronounced that Jewish intellectualism is dead and endorsed the students' right to clean up the debris of the past. Book burnings happened all over the country, and in Frankfurt they happened on the main square. Here, somewhere, is a plaque commemorating the destruction of these ideas and the repression of the Nazi dictatorship. This is very touristy, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, look, Ukraine flag.
This is the balcony. Did you say also the terrace, the balcony?
Yeah, balcony.
This is the balcony.
I thought the plaque would be really easy to find, and I was mistaken. Where's the plaque? So it's in the floor somewhere. The plaque is in the floor. Maybe it's over there.
No, it's there. The plaque is there. Where the book burning place.
Yeah, where is it?
There. I follow
Oh, is it you following it on your maps?
Yes.
Oh, right. It's like detectives. Where is it? I've got to say, I'm loving watching this back with you now, guys. Just watching Yassin, like, so desperate to find this plaque, knowing that I'm going to have to get this flight in like 50 minutes time, and we've still got another place to go. Ah, here you go, look. What about this here? Oh yeah, here it is.
Aha, this is the plate.
There we go.
Yes. You know the philosopher or the writer, the Heinrich Heine?
No? What?
He's very famous, like Goethe.
Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, philosopher.
Heinrich Heine? Yes.
I've got no money, man. Sorry.
Sorry.
So yeah.
And he said here is written, before the game begins, there were the books were burnt. There were after this the people get burnt.
So the burning of ideas.
The burning was only the first step.
pretext.
The pretext.
Yeah, the
was
pretext.
The pretext was to burn books, and after they burned also people.
The book burnings for me hold great significance historically, but also because they point to things that could be happening with censorship in our modern world today. We think of universities to be places where ideas and beliefs can be openly talked about and challenged. Book burning started in Nazi Germany in universities, and I can't help but wonder if the same censorious spirit exists within our modern higher education organisations today. I'm not saying we're at the start of a new dark age, but I use the past to inform my opinions of the present, and it currently doesn't feel comfortable. It was decision time. My next stop, my final stop, the fourth site that I've been trying to see, would take about 10 minutes to get to through heavy traffic. But how long would it take to get to the airport from there?
25 minutes about this.
Okay.
Eckenheimer Landstraße. Send you a driver because I'm a little bit far away, okay? I will call you back. Okay.
Can we park here?
Yeah, you can go out. I'm here. I have to display to
Oh, do some work. That's fine, man.
Yes, I call a guy who...
Press the button on that.
No, I pressed him before.
Somewhere here lie the remains of 528 prisoners who died in Frankfurt's concentration camp. Most of the concentration camp inmates had been abducted during the Warsaw Uprising. At its largest, 1,139 prisoners worked here, and a total of 1,600 prisoners came to the camp, of whom 528 died in Frankfurt. On March 13th, 1945, 500 dying, sick prisoners who were unable to walk were locked in goods wagons and had to wait there for 3 days before they were transported to Bergen-Belsen concentration camp. Only 8 inmates survived. The mass grave is located somewhere here in this Jewish cemetery. Oh, it's quite cool. What a lovely bloke. He's such a nice guy. He's just really happy to drive me around Frankfurt so I can learn about this place a little bit more, and so can you then. Because I always never really liked Frankfurt, I must say. It's a bit of a dump. But this has been really nice actually to go around the city and see everything. So yeah, there's a mass cemetery here, mass grave here because there was a concentration camp here in Frankfurt. Their bodies were buried in a mass grave, and I think it's actually over the back, out of the way. It's incredible to see, even with all the hate and just destruction that the Nazis caused by killing so many Jewish people. They thought they could solve the Jewish problem like it needed solving in the first place. But they thought they could solve that by killing everyone, and that was what they were going to do. There's graves here of people who've died in just this year, you know. There's so many graves here. They completely failed. It's a testament to the strength of the human spirit to still keep going. It's an amazing place, isn't it? I'm just going to pop to the loo. And that was it. 4 historical sites ticked off the list. I needed to be at the airport for the gate in 20 minutes, and we were 25 minutes away. Yasin and I had gone from being complete strangers to sharing this mini 2-hour adventure together. He said he wasn't going to let me down now. Cheers, man. We should get a photo. Let's get a photo. Yasin charged me €80 for the whole trip. What a bargain.
Have a nice flight, my friend.
Cheers, man. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It's very kind of you, Yasin. Cheers. See you later. Terminal 2. There we go. Every place has its history, and some of you may think it morbid that I've chosen to seek out and learn about this particular chapter in Frankfurt's past. but it keeps me grounded. I understand that when my phone is low on battery or my flight back home is late, that there are far worse things that can happen. Most estimates put the death toll for the Holocaust at around 6 million people. So next time you have a bad day at work or a minor inconvenience, think of Ilse Haas. Don't forget her. That's the least we can do.